Hello, and thank you for joining me. In this example, we're going to review both arithmetic and logical operators. As you can see, we have two variables here, both x and y. We're going to assign values to these through coding in just a moment. What I want you to pay attention to, though, is this area over here. Through coding, we're going to subject x and y to various arithmetic and logical operations. What we're going to do then is we're going to have the result of those operations labeled z print out over here. And if you look down here, I have the same setup, only what's going to happen is our values are going to print out in binary. So up here we have decimal notation, and down here we have binary notation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pull up our code, and we're going to review it. Obviously, the first thing we do is we want to go ahead and declare our variables. So I have x, y, and z listed as double data types. This value right here, this variable ws, is a string, and if you notice right below here, I assign it a value of operators. That is the name of the worksheet I'm working on. You can name it anything. This is going to be the name that pops up in the tab down in the worksheet. So let me go ahead and just step through the code. I assign that value. I make sure that I'm working in this workbook. That's where the workbook where the code is listed. I make sure that I have my proper sheet selected. Now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and assign my variables values. So we have x and we have y, and if you look over here on the spreadsheet, you'll see them print out. Okay, so now we're stepping into our arithmetic operators. The first thing we're going to do is just simple addition, and z is going to equal both x and y added together. And again, it's going to print out over here. Next we have subtraction, multiplication, division, and now we're moving into our logical operators. So hopefully that kind of gives you an idea of how our operators perform whenever we're encoding. So now we're going to do the same thing, only we're going to use logical operators. Just like arithmetic operators, whenever we perform logical operators between two values, we're going to come out with different answers. So let's see, we have z equals x and y. So let's see what that gives us. That gives us a value of 2. Now we're going to see x or y, which gives us a value of 7. I'm going to scroll up so we can see. Next we have x equivalent y, a value of -6. And if you notice down here, the values are also printing out down here in binary. X exclusive y, which comes out to 5, and x implied y. Okay, so what we have are the results of both arithmetic and logical operators for our arguments of x and y. Now, just to kind of give an idea of what happens when we use our not operators, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a quick sub. I'm just going to call it temp, and I'm going to go ahead and declare a variable z, and I'm going to, as a double, what I'm going to do is I'm going to assign that value of, I'll say 13. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say message box, just so we can look at it. And I'm going to say not z. So here we have, I've declared a variable. I've gone ahead and assigned that variable a value. And now what I'm going to do is perform this operation right here. So if I get rid of the message box, this right here, I'm going to say not z. Now what I'm going to do, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in the message box. There we go. And let's step through the code and see what happens. And it gives us a value of -14. Okay, so hopefully that gives you a better understanding of how arithmetic and logical operators affect our values. Okay, what I've gone ahead and done is included several exercises you can practice yourself. So here, our first exercise is we want to write a procedure that carries out mathematical and logical operations listed for each pair of arguments. So if you look, we have listing of arguments, and what we want to do is we want to subject our arguments to each of these operations. So arithmetic operations and logical operations, and we want our values to print out here, just like we did in the example, only want to do it for multiple numbers. Next, what we want to do, this has two parts. First, what we want to do is we want to write a procedure to determine if the argument A is greater than or equal to 5, and if argument B is less than or equal to 5, and we want to have those values print out here. So they're going to be true-false values, and we want those to print out here next to each pair of arguments. Part 2 asks us to write a procedure that then performs logical operations for our logic values that we obtained here. So once we get our logic values, we want to go ahead and subject them to logical operations here. Finally, we have this exercise, which consists of multiple colors. What we want to do here is we want to go through using the arguments presented here and answer these questions that are listed. So the thing to keep in mind is that the colors red, yellow, and blue are all considered primary colors. So we want to create a procedure that goes through the list of colors and answers the questions along this top row. The first one is either A or B a primary color? Are A and B both the same color? Are A and B both primary colors? And are A and B not the same color? So the idea is to go through and answer these questions with a procedure that uses logical operators. So through this example and these exercises, you should get a better understanding of how logical operators work and how to use them with conditional statements. If you found this video useful, please click like and share with others. Thank you.